On this episode of The Lowdown, join
Karis
and Katarina as we chat all things National Hui delegates. Who are they?
How should they be chosen?
How many can we send?
And who gets to vote? First up, Katarina, what is a Hui delegate?
A Hui delegate is one of the people who your church sends to represent your church in matters of Baptist Union, the 240 churches together, business at the National Hui.
So it's just a fancy way of saying these are official representatives.
Basically, yeah.
How do we find out how many delegates our church can send?
While you can send as many people as you like to National Hui, rules for how many official voting delegates a church is able to send are set out in the Constitution of the Baptist Union.
Each constituent church may appoint one designated minister and 2 members as delegates to the National Hui.
And what if you're a larger church?
Well, churches that have more than 100 members may appoint one additional delegate for every complete 50 members, in excess of 100 up to 250, and thereafter one additional delegate. This is a very long sentence. And thereafter one additional delegate for every complete 100 members.
Okay, so that is extremely confusing. But hey, you're in luck. The Hui registration system will let you see how many delegate spaces you have available and appoint people to this role as you register them. Only those who are registered as official voting delegates will have voting rights.
And it's no pieces of paper for voting now.
That's right, we've entered the modern era, and those who are registered as voting delegates will be given access to our secure digital voting at Hui.
So how do the voting delegates make decisions?
The first thing to remember is that the voting delegates are not acting in their individual capacity at the National Hui. They are acting on behalf of their local church, representing the views and opinions of the church in the voting matters.
So the church should send people who accurately represent their perspective.
For sure. At National Hui, the delegates get to vote on 4 main types of decisions. Delegates vote for new members for national boards and councils, and they vote to appoint senior staff positions, such as National Leader, General Director of Arotahi, and the Kerry Baptist College Principal.
They also vote when making changes to the National Constitution of the Baptist Union, and to pass motions for other significant union-wide decisions, such as the serious misconduct process.
So now you know how many delegates you can send and what kind of decisions the delegates make. How do you choose who to send?
Well, there is a common perception that National Hui is a conference mainly for pastors. This is inaccurate. In fact, each church used to be limited to only one pastor, and the sending of lay people as voting delegates was strongly encouraged.
It's important that the voting delegates present in National Hui represent the diversity of our movement.
All 40,000 of us.
So while we do want to see our 500 pastors there, we also want to see elders, administrators, volunteers, and congregation members. We want to see people with wisdom born of experience, and also representatives from the generations who will lead us into the future. So make sure your delegates represent a range of ages.
When choosing who your church will send, consider asking wider than your staff team.
There may be some members in your church who are interested in the wider whānau matters. In fact, this is a great way to remind your church that we belong to a wider collective and that there are people in churches just like ours all around the motu.
What should our delegates do in the lead up to Hui and after Hui?
Delegates need to make time to read up on the issues that are being considered at the Hui. This includes reading nominee profiles when voting for roles, reading motions or proposals, and engaging with pre-Hui readings that are available through the Hui website. That's hui.baptist.nz.
Not only do delegates need to consider these materials, but they need to consider the perspective of the church they are representing. This may involve discussions with the governance board and opportunities to discuss with interested church members.
And of course, central to our Baptist ecclesiology, decision-making is ultimately us discerning the mind of Christ together. So choose delegates who will prayerfully consider what God might be saying on these matters.
At the National Hui, there are opportunities to discuss motions and proposals on the floor prior to voting.
This is a way to bring your church's opinion before the wider collective. This is a place to support the proposal or to ask further questions.
You are also encouraged, underlined, encouraged, to email in questions or concerns prior to hui to get responses early enough for your wider church to consider these together.
In post-hui, when all of the decision-making is done, delegates return to their church and share about the wider collective to which the church belongs.
You won't just have voting results to share with your church, but stories of how God is using local churches, just like yours, to bring gospel renewal to people and places in their local neighbourhoods.
So consider planning to use the Sunday following hui as a time for your delegates to share those stories with your wider church whānau. Registrations for National Hui are now open at hui.baptist.nz.
Thanks for joining us today!
And we hope to see your delegates at Hui in November!
Yay!